Hi guys and welcome. I hope you had a great weekend. Happy Monday, beautiful sunny day we've got today. Over the weekend I had a lot of conversations regarding Brexit, new financial hubs, and invariably why are businesses and banks moving to locations like Paris, Dublin, Frankfurt, Amsterdam and even Warsaw. Now over the last 12 to 18 months banks have obviously started to build separate hubs elsewhere. And thus far, what they've actually done is they've not moved very many front office staff to any of these hubs. If they have, it's probably within its individuals, between maybe 1 and 10 individuals in every office. And even within that, I think there's probably realistically 1 or 2 only. Now, banks have been very clever to use Brexit to save money. I think they are obviously will always do that within times of change. And as you've seen with the likes of Dublin and Warsaw, and actually even with Paris, to be fair, you've seen a lot of back office staff move to these locations. Whereas maybe if you're in London, a back office individual may be receiving 50 to 60,000 on a base salary. If you do move them to these new locations, you're looking at a base salary anywhere between 30 to 40,000, which is a huge saving per head. Additionally, you've also got the cost of the office space and the land being much cheaper than central London, and therefore it's a great reason for banks to go out, save money and do what really makes sense, and trying to profit or trying to increase the profits of the bank, and then saving as much cost as possible. It makes sense, but this is one of the biggest elements you've seen of banks moving to new locations. Now, as we do come towards Brexit, you are starting to have the bigger questions. Will it be soft? Will it be hard? Are we making breakfast? Are we making a hard-boiled egg? Or are we trying to sort out the wider future for Europe? Now, at this moment in time, if we go down the route of a hard-boiled or soft-boiled, it actually doesn't really matter, because what you can see in the banking industry at the moment is that we're almost going back 30 years and forward 10. And with this explanation, let me say that back 30 years, it basically means that throughout the most recent 30 years, everyone was focusing on their local franchises, where they could add value, and they had definitely a specific edge. So if you are Medibanker in Italy, Santander in Spain, say Deutsche Bank in Germany, etc., you're always offered to add a local flavour which others couldn't replicate. Now, as the world got bigger, or certainly more connected, many firms grew out to be either pan-European or global, which did mean you had more competition, certainly a bigger competitive nature across a wider landscape, which has meant that you've had more competing firms, and therefore, whilst the pool of commissions and revenues were getting bigger, that worked perfectly. But in a market where commissions are shrinking and revenues are certainly smaller than they used to be, we're going back to that local franchise, and every single region is doing the same thing. So you'll see that continuously going forward, whereas banks or brokers are being much more focused within their specific regions or sectors, and truly adding value where they genuinely can, rather than trying to do more than what they could do previously and have a much wider cost base, potentially not being as efficient, which is again where we are going back to now. It's definitely a world of banking efficiency. Additionally, one of the elements that we've looked at as well is careers. Now, within banking, within what's going on going back 30 years, whereas over the last sort of 20 odd years, you had a scenario of working banking, work for 10 to 15 years as hard as you like, 16-hour day pluses, drinks, clients, meetings, dinners, etc., and then you were done. Nowadays, I think it's going to change completely. I think we go back into that sphere where banking becomes a career again. You're not going to get the heavy heights of million paychecks. Obviously, there are people that will, but for the average and for the masses, I don't believe that's going to be the case. I believe we go back again to a longer, sustained career where salaries will be lower. I think a salary of anywhere between 100 and 150 will be almost a norm for the more senior people in banking, and obviously less for others. And bonuses will not be double or treble. Obviously, we can't go more than double at the moment, but we are not going to get to a situation of huge compensation, at least for the next 10 years or so. And this is where I believe we can now start to build for the future. As long as people understand this, and we can build slowly, firms can actually train their staff, slowly, they can build them up together and work collectively to build a better service for their customers. That's invariably why we're here, and that's why we do what we do. Now with Brexit, there is obviously one huge factor hanging over us at the moment, especially within the UK, and that comes down to Theresa May, the Chequers agreement or non-agreement, and if that doesn't go ahead, are we going to see a situation of a general election? Now, a lot of people fear for this with Jeremy Corbyn. It's not about Labour or Conservative or any other party, it's about the financial industry here. And it's been highly stressed, I guess, in many respects, that Labour and Jeremy Corbyn will tackle the financial services quite dramatically. And this is where the concern comes from a lot of people at the moment, and again from conversations I've had from this weekend and the recent months as well. If Corbyn does get in, if Labour do get in, what will that mean for the industry? At the moment, we generally have no idea. It doesn't look particularly positive. However, we must stay strong, we must stay vigilant rather, and we must be extremely positive moving forward. We can all make the system better. We can all continue to do our jobs at a high level. But for now, let's keep on moving forward, and it'd be great to speak to you again. And remember, whatever you do, just stay positive, stay focused, and do everything you can to help yourself and others. Many thanks.